Welcome to the Gus Alva Perspective, a videocast that is aimed at elevating the notion of gratitude and abundance over the terrible scourge of fear and scarcity, which oftentimes assail us and make us feel less than. The topic that I'd like to touch on today is one that is particularly germane. It entails prioritizing life, and prioritizing the things that matter to us. This whole concept of prioritizing things is really centered along lines of what matters most to us. When we can identify and give importance to the aspects that have an abundance of significance for us and bring fulfillment to our existence, well, that then means that we have to train ourselves in recognizing the fact that we have limited time, limited energy, and limited resources, and in being able to do just that. So we have to consciously direct each one of these towards those things which hold value and contribute towards our personal growth and happiness. So let's take a look at this concept of prioritization. It requires reflection as well as introspection. And ultimately, this is done to determine what's going to resonate within ourselves, what things are valuable for us, what do we aspire for, and ultimately how we might be able to approximate a better sense of well-being. It further involves examining different areas of our lives, such as our relationships, which are the ones that matter most to us, our personal development. How is it that I might contribute? Our careers. What is it that I'm doing that helps out not just me, but societally? Our health, also our leisure, because obviously, the recreational things that we pursue are pretty important as well. And discerning what is most meaningful and fulfilling is ultimately what prioritization is all about. So we have to obviously make sure that our actions and choices with our core values align in setting long-term goals. Like I said, this ultimately is going to be a situation where we have to make conscious decisions in making sure that all of the resources that we described previously make sense with the sense of purpose that we're going after in contributing towards our personal growth and our happiness. Let me give you an example. Prioritizing relationships might involve investing time as well as effort into nurturing those meaningful connections. But they are particularly important, particularly with our loved ones. We need to foster communication, we need to foster emotional support, and we need to also create shared experiences. So when we take a look at the significance of human connection, we'll certainly note that there's always going to be a positive impact on our overall sense of well-being. So that should definitely be among the things that we are prioritizing in our lives. Now, remember, in terms of personal development, when we think of prioritizing things, that might involve allocating time for self-reflection. How often do we actually take the time to really think things through in a methodical manner? We need to be setting goals, and ultimately, we need to be pursuing activities that promote personal growth. And this might involve learning new skills, pursuing hobbies, or engaging in self-care practices. Now, acknowledging the importance of continued learning, as well as self-improvement and self-care, are an essential component of a fulfilled life. So, as we explore other areas that we're involved with, the context of our careers is also very important. It involves aligning professional pursuits with personal values and personal interests. This might entail also seeking opportunities that allow us for growth as well as advancement, and finding that right balance between the work that we do and our personal life, recognizing the fact that there's a significance in finding fulfillment and purpose in one's chosen vocation. I oftentimes have addresses with my family members, particularly my children, and speaking about, having a vocation in which you feel like you're being paid to have fun. And ultimately, as we take a look at what we do, we oftentimes are way more productive if we're doing just that. Now, it's also very important that we recognize the importance of physical and mental well being. So, that ultimately also involves making choices that are promoting a healthy lifestyle. So, in the past, I've talked about this, but I'll reiterate it again. Regular exercise, balanced nutrition, appropriate hydration, and stress management are critical, as well as seeking emotional support if it's needed and engaging in activities that promote mental well being. We sometimes take a look at addressing physical needs, but we sometimes neglect our mental well being, and that becomes a very important thing. As we encourage others, we in turn should be intentional and mindful about how we allocate our limited resources. We should focus on what brings us joy, fulfillment, and, as mentioned, a sense of purpose in our lives. Because as we take a look at, the whole concept of prioritizing life as a doctor, for example, one of the things that's been instilled in me and that I've learned and have certainly held sacred is the value and the safeguarding of human life above all. It basically is a concept in which decisions and the allocation of resources are based on the principle of the preservation and the enhancement of life. And ultimately, we can certainly carry this across each one of our lives. So, just as a doctor would be triaging patients based on the urgency and the severity of a medical condition, well, we in our lives can also triage the areas that are weak and require additional attention as a focus in which to be able to step in and now help reprioritize and shift some of the resources and the energy that we have in being able to accomplish that sense of purpose and fulfillment. Thus, the concept here is that gratitude should be along the lines of aligning our priorities and assuring that we are addressing every facet in our lives in such a manner that we can certainly feel that sense of gratitude and mirth and give thanks on a daily basis over the things that we have, and the things that we lack, we can certainly move in a positive direction with. I thank you for joining us on the Gus Alva Perspective and this topic of prioritization, which is ultimately an area that we sometimes fall short of. Thank you for joining us.